And welcome back to Jeff Koinange live at the Intercontinental. Goodness gracious me, I hope you've been watching this show from the start today, because Kenjiru, the Uungwana man, has come out swinging. This is exactly what this nation needs at this time, calling it like he sees it, without fear or favor. And your tweets reflect that. Kiprotich Bob Kirui, you say, I'm loving this guy. No one marginalizes you but yourself. Then he goes on to say, Socione is right though. That's another story. Deno McChelsea says, if teachers don't need more pay, don't take your kid to school. Okay. Good chance Tende says, Ken is speaking the truth. Karaoke Kamau says, I like Mr. Njiru. Always has real talk, like what he says about Asians, all true. Wish we had leaders like him. Would you run for office, Ken? Would you run for office?
Well, I keep saying, Jeff, there are many levels of helping a nation move forward, and many levels of leadership. Like I say, the family, the corporate, and I like being in the space that I'm in, because if for instance I was in one coalition or another, then what I'm saying would be polarized. But I want to be able to talk to all the coalitions, to all spaces,
all sides.
Talk to corporates, which I do, go to schools, which I do, keep moving and even going to communities, which I do. My prayer to God is to give me the grace, give me many more years that I'm able to just continue doing what I do. This is a path that I've chosen.
And the fact that you obviously see the fruits of your hard labor, Ken, because you were just telling me before the show that you took a drive. You take a drive with your family every holiday.
Yeah, every holiday.
This time in particular, where did you go?
There's a family program we have called KYC.
KYC.
Know your country. Yeah. So this year around, I went to Narok, then went up to Loita. Loita is a Maasai country, just it borders Tanzania. Then back to Narok, up to Busia, then drove to Mombasa. So
know your country.
Know your country, and the kids are very excited about this. But for me, one of the things that, by the way, you see consistently is, I guess, is the marvelous effects of devolution. Especially, for instance, when I was driving along the Narok Loita route, they've graded the road, put Maram, and the Maasais are saying they have never seen this road in that state. I mean, they're so happy. But there's still some areas where you really drive and you wonder, oh my God, am I driving in space, or am I But
this is the first time in 50 years.
Yes, that those roads have been done. Yeah.
And we're talking just Maram.
Yeah, just Maram. So I think devolution is not. I think we all know. Devolution is a good thing. The roads are fantastic. You see a lot of bars, even not bars BAR, but bars BUSS.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
In places like Narok, in Busia, people are building. I mean, there's an energy. Something is rising. But I think we still need to sharpen it. We still need to sharpen it. That business imperative needs to be built, because if we don't create wealth, if we don't, if we are not innovative and creative, then we have a big problem.
Yeah. When you talk to people, and I know you probably do in the little towns that you go to, do they get the Uungwana-ness? Do they understand the Uungwana-ness and ushenzi-ness?
Oh, yes, they do. I mean, everywhere I go, I'm stopped by people. I know you from somewhere. You are the Uungwana ushenzi man. I say yes. And I say, I hope you're a Muungwana. They say, Mimi Muungwana. Mimi Muungwana. And what I thank God for is that everybody I meet, by the way, affirms what we do on the Uungwana platform. And their prayer is that it would even go even farther out. And for me, that's what keeps me going. When an ordinary person says, keep going, I like what you do, that gives me extra steam to basically keep going. More so because, like I've told you many times, when I was starting Uungwana, everybody was wondering, what are you doing?
Yes.
Get yourself a day job. So I like what...
You like the challenge.
I like the challenge.
And you like how it's turned out.
Yes, I like how it, and by the way, it's been a walk by faith, not by sight.
By faith.
By faith.
But there's a lot of work to be done still, Ken, isn't there?
A lot of work. And incidentally, by the way, on the values platform, one of the things that I like, and I would like to commend the government for this, the Department of Cohesion has actually started moving national values through the civil service. and I work with them to move values, and I think that's a very positive thing. Part of what they've actually done is they are locking national values into the performance contracting. So you actually have to say what you have done in terms of national values, in terms of people participation, in terms of democracy, in terms of equity, in terms of all those parameters that define the national values and principles of governance. And so I think it's an exciting thing. And so a conversation is being had like it has never been had before. I mean, civil servants are asking, okay, now that there are values, how do you deliver them? And what we're trying, of course, to drive is the fact that we need to go now beyond compliance, so that it's not just about reporting so that the president can give his address annually, but it's about you living them. And so it's about you understanding that values also connect to your home. In fact, many times I ask people, do you have family values? Are there 5 values that you can say, this is what my families stand for? And some time back, one corporate leader told me that they were having the usual exercises corporates have of coming up with corporate values. And then he stepped back and said to himself, wait a minute, my own family doesn't have values. And that came from the fact that he kept on saying, we are a family. And so he went backwards and called his wife and I think 4 kids, and they sat down for about 2-3 months and agreed these are the 5 values, right? And it's been almost 40 years now. And he says that even, and they've given the fact that many of them, in fact almost all of them now are out-married, one of the values that they put, they pinned down was the value of meeting once a week as a family and eating together. So every week, one week they go to brother A, sister A, father's house, and they keep rotating. And he says that has happened over more than 40 years now. I can assure you there are many parents who would try and call their kids on a Sunday and they ask Buddha Ratakading because you did not lay the foundation.
You find an excuse.
You find an excuse. I remember as we were growing up, I would try and do some things and my father would tell me, Ken, nobody in the family has ever done that. But today if you tell your kids something like that, most of them will say, Utadu.
Yes.
Utadu, because there are no sanctions, there's no order, there's no structure. We no longer know whether we are coming or we are going. And this is what we must recreate. And if you want to know the power of soft values, think about this phone. Without the software, Jeff, what you're reading would not come through. It is total nonsense. It does not exist. So it is with a human being. The software must be right. And that is what we must get right in this country.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And speaking of getting things right, Ken, I can't let you go without touching on buildings that are collapsing because of shoddy work, because of illegal permits, because of people cutting corners, and they're claiming lives. And this one that just came down in Huruma the other day, there was another one, I think, a couple of weeks ago, and there are more that will come down.
The report said if there was a small earthquake, 90% of the buildings would come down in Nairobi. And we're talking about having architects, having engineers, having quantity surveyors, who, by the way, will not let us talk because of how much money they've basically made out of the blood of people, because that is what is happening. But of course, that's ushenzi. But if we may just take one step back, Jeff, this is what you're seeing in the police force. Same nonsense. So that people at the border will let people come in for a pittance, simply because you want to make some money. People at the port will steal money that basically should be in the coffers. Even some of these teachers will even rape students. And so to speak, it is happening. And a good percentage of them, I think it was 30%, don't even bother to go to class.
They don't show up.
And look at the politicians. So that this is what I'm calling a socio-cultural milieu, a point in time where we need to address the essential fabric of the nation. We like treating symptoms. When something happens, we firefight. Buildings have collapsed, and we must take, by the way, what Kidero has done is good, and what the president has done is good. But it's, what we then do is firefight there, firefight here, firefight there, firefight here. But the root cause is not addressed.
The rot is still there.
The rot is still there. Think about a tree. The strength of a tree is the root system. If the root system is rotten, this tree will just fall down. And so the Kenyan root system needs to be strengthened. Once that is strengthened, then the branches of buildings, the branches of business, the branches of family, the branches of everything will be okay. When the foundations are weak and we quiver, when they quiver, then a nation is weak. Right? And so, yes, there is ushenzi in the construction industry, but there's ushenzi everywhere. And that is why today, when we are doing the SGR or we are doing the Thika Road, when we give out these status, Africans are nowhere to be seen. And when you give it to Africans, they'll eat if they're meant to be 6 inches of tarmac, they lit 5.
Yeah.
And then used about 2-3 to become governors. And then keep on telling us where the problem is because of those characters.
I didn't get paid.
And then because of our ushenzi as a people, we keep cheering them. And it becomes one vicious cycle. And I'm saying this starts with every one of us, just like the president said on security. And I agree with him.
Lindsay.
And when he said that, people came up and asked, how can you say that? Let me tell you, during the First and the Second Gulf War, I had 2 friends who were doing business. One was called Adi and Mikhailo, they were Israelis. And let me tell you what, there were guys who were making good money. And they shut down their business to go and fight for their country. And these are civilians. Oh, yes. And I also gave the example, I said, why when the president says security starts with you, I'm sure, Jeff, you close your door when you enter your house.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if you leave it open and then somebody walks in, then you go and blame the police.
And it was you.
And it was you. So at a very basic level, security starts with us. And in any case, by the way, even the security agents are your brother, my brother, your father, my father. I mean, it's us, so to speak. And yes, the government has that preponderant role to organize us in terms of the security piece. But as long as we become the agents of insecurity, we're in trouble. There was a lady called Emily Duncan who once said that when laws are insufficient, laws are unenforceable. When laws are sufficient, laws are unnecessary. What she was saying is that when you have cultures and a way of life that is solid, you don't even need laws, because then people are they drive themselves from internally. But when you have when you have laws, cultures, and systems that are a mess, that are ushenzi, laws cannot be implemented. Because even when you go to a police station, the person behind the police desk is part of the stealing culture.
Yeah.
In fact, how many we know of policemen who give out their guns?
Correct.
Yeah, because we are rotten. We are rotten as public officers in public offices. We are rotten as individuals in corporate companies. We are rotten in families. How many times do you see a man dying and women from all over come out and say, and by the way, not recent, 40 years.
Yeah.
40 years. Yes. You know, a man you're my age now is coming to say, I'm your brother.
He shows up.
And I keep on saying, there's nothing wrong, by the way, if you want to marry 2-3 wives, but come and say, this is my wife. All right, and so all these things keep adding up, and why I'm saying I think the media needs to play a deeper role in these interrogations. Some of these leaders, when they pass away, we glorify them, but everywhere, in fact, we glorify them in the media. But ever here we are saying, lakini this guy. Yeah. I mean, it is wrong.
But out there, we're praising them to no end. We're deifying them.
We are deifying them.
Coming on the heels of what you just said a moment ago, Ken, so does that mean that in Kayseri and Boynet, do they have their work cut out for them?
I think they have their work cut out for them. And one of the things, by the way, I like about Kayseri is that one, apart from, I think is a serious and solid gentleman. And I also think that being with some, security forces background, he'll get some greater respect, more so at a time when we need to consolidate and we need to rework our security lay. And I think it was good to even to bring him in for a new start over. But I fundamentally believe I think he will do a good job. I just saw something in the press today. On the meeting he had with the leaders who come from the communities that have the problem of cattle rustling.
Yep.
And I'm happy that something is starting to move. One of the things they proposed, of course, was a new legislation that makes cattle rustling punishable as a capital offense. Because, by the way, it's robbery by violence.
It is.
But it has always been it's like a sport.
It is a sport.
And I was talking to a friend of mine who's a Pokot, one of the leaders, and he said, Jiru, hii ni ushenzi. Lakini there is something very interesting about us. I cannot steal a cow from a Pokot. That is not acceptable. But I can steal a cow from a Turkana.
Or Samburu.
I mean, think about that psychology. If I steal from a Pokot, that is theft. And so it is within the Turkana. But you can steal across the boundary. So that it is not that they don't understand the concept of theft, but it is the cultural socialization and what we've been doing over the years, which must be interrogated and talked to, because you can't beat it out of them.
Right.
Talk to, so that people start understanding, actually, you know what, this is ushenzi. Yeah. And of course, the law must be put into place, because I keep on saying values and the law must work in tandem. Where somebody, is a value-based, then you don't need to use the law. But when you do ushenzi, then the law must come on you hard. And it doesn't matter who you are.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Total ushenziness.
Ushenzi.
Or like Atwoli would say, that's barbaric.
It's barbaric, ask me. It's actually barbaric.
21st century, they're raiding cows across the river.
Take them this side, take them that side, take them this side, take them that side.
Yeah. Boynet at SIG?
SIG, I personally, by the way, I don't know much about Boynet.
Yeah,
but
he's a very quiet guy.
I pray that, or I trust that, you know, the system that got him there must have done its due diligence. And I pray that, believing that everybody understands the seriousness of the scenario. Of course, he's not been one of the people we see around. But my prayer is that he'll put his heart to it. He's a Kenyan. And I hope he understands that Kenyans expect a lot from him as the IG. Yeah, they're not two ways about it.
Ken, this year, 2015, is this the year we should turn the corner? Enough of the complaining, enough of Mason number one or Stone Cutter number one.
Or even number two.
Or even number two.
Yes.
Is this that year?
I think we need to make that decision. We need to make that decision. And I hope it can be that year, where we stop complaining. In fact, I keep on saying, show me a successful complainant. A guy who complained is going to success. Akuna, right? This, that, the chair is bad, this is, you know, there's no successful complainant. So the idea is for us to make that decision. And this is what great nations have done, by the way. They've decided that, you know what, we are great nations. We'll go to the moon. We'll make things that move the human race forward. Right? So that for me, I keep saying that, you know, the real measure of our human development, by the way, will not even necessarily come from, you know, this reasoning and cutting and pasting, but with a reconnection of what it means to be human. Once we do that, and then use that basically to inform our actions, so that preponderant what should I call it? That preponderant gifting that is in you is basically allowed to live on a moment-to-moment basis. Then we start transforming the society, so that at one and the same time, it's about you, but it's about we. Yeah.
Boniface Nduma says, Kenjiro is the guy, telling it like it is. Love the conversation. Moses Joroge says, is it possible for Jiro to do a seminar for our leaders? They need this sense in their minds. Is it possible? We try to talk to.
I do you know, in different levels, talk with them, and they do see the sense. But one of the things that I've also come to appreciate about change is it doesn't happen because, you know, you do one seminar. I think it's a constant process. I think what we need is the wherewithal and the power to keep at it, to keep moving it. I have had sessions with the Senate, and they've been very positive, by the way. And I think what we're trying to do now is start looking for champions in all sectors, so that these champions then continue championing.
Like the marathon runners.
Like the marathon runners. Once we do that, then the change that we want to see starts happening. Of course, you know, the interesting thing about the theories of change, and this you know, bears no scientific research. But generally we say there are 20% of people who will never change, right? And then there's another 80% of people who can change or who won't change. And then there's a 20% who get it. We need to get that 20% to get the 80%. And then know that there will be a 20% who will never change. Ushenzi kamili.
Yeah.
And we are hoping that the law will take care of them.
Eventually.
So they stop stealing from us, they stop causing accidents on the road, they stop doing all the shenzi things that are happening around the city.
And they will become irrelevant in the end anyway.
And, yeah, they'll become irrelevant. If 80% of the people are good, then the 20% are irrelevant.
Yeah. Bumblebee Sports says, I concur fully with Kenjiro. I'm a tennis coach who is ready to make a difference in this country.
Great.
Starting with Hospital Hill, he says.
Great, by the way. And this guy, I know him. He's been doing a lot of good work for free, you know, helping young people do the tennis thing.
Yeah.
And you know, as he does that, of course, we were reminded of the Serena Williams sisters, who started playing tennis at 4 years old. Tiger Woods started playing golf at 3.
There you go.
Yeah. So nothing comes easy.
Yeah.
You cannot sleep and wait for Jeff to work and then you say distribute. It doesn't work like that.
No.
In fact, Waswahili wanasema, ukitegemea cha ndugu yako utakufa maskini. Yeah. And one of the things I like saying, by the way, the interesting thing about this country is that we are immensely rich. I was looking at the coast region, some statistics on minerals. It is said that the coast has about 5.4 trillion shillings under the ground. Trillion under the ground. But what's the story? Watokabara, Pwani Kenya, whatever nonsense, drugs, pesa mashinani.
Or mashimoni.
Instead of asking yourselves, what do we have? Because, by the way, you have to start with what you have. And once you work what you have, then God gives you the wherewithal to keep growing what you have. Yeah. Even when we talk about oil, sometimes I ask myself, look at. I'm sure you've seen clips of discovery of oil in the States in the 1860s.
Correct.
Crude methods, and they mined the oil. But we can't.
And they struggled.
We have to wait for Shell. We have to wait for Total. We have to wait for Caltex. And when they come, we line up cheering them. And we tell them, before you start, build a school. Before you start, give us bread. Ushenzi.
Ushenzi.
Ushenzi. And I'm saying ushenzi because we have what it takes to get that oil from the ground.
We're just downright lazy.
We've just, not even lazy, we don't even understand, many of us. And by the way, the role of leadership now is to lead people to do great things. In fact, what I call Uungwana leadership is the ability to get people to do those transformative things. That's what you call Uungwana leadership. To transform themselves, to turn them into leaders, to get them to get that titanium out of the ground. To, you know, there's even there's this they call them anyway, there are many minerals across this country. There's iron ore in Ukambani, but it won't get out of the ground because of this guy wants this, this guy wants this, this guy wants this. Total nonsense.
I was in Tanzania over the New Year's, and this thing called Tanzanite. You know, it has more value than diamonds. Only mined in Tanzania. And they value that little piece of rock like it's a moon rock.
And I can assure you, if you did your work well in Taita, you most probably find Tanzanite.
Right there.
I mean, Tanzania, that boundary there was just put by Germans.
Same belt.
And the British. Same belt. You'll find it. But we won't look for it. We want money from Mashinani. From Mashinani.
Pesa Mashinani. Goodness gracious. But for our children, Ken, and you know, we do this, what we do every day, all day, every year, is for the children. Is there hope?
No, there's hope. As I know God does not make junk, and all our kids are great kids. In fact, I mean, just look at the ICT sector in this country. It's being driven by very young people, and they are doing magic. They are doing magic. You know, whichever way you look at it, Safaricom was a Kenyan invention.
Correct.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, M-Pesa was a Kenyan invention. And now it's doing 7 billion shillings every day.
Imagine, more than Western Union.
More than Western Union. We just have to think greater. In fact, many times, you know, people say Safaricom is big. I say it's not big. It needs to get bigger. It needs to go all over Africa, if at all it can. And if it can't, then Equity picks it up and takes it all over Africa and run with it. That's what we need to do. We have 800 million Africans. That's a huge market. That's a huge market. We're like the Chinese, but we don't even understand. We don't even see it.
I think we're up to 1 billion now, Ken.
Yes,
$1 billion.
We must be headed there.
That's a good number.
Despite the funny diseases which only somehow appear in Africa.
Correct. And very conveniently.
Conveniently.
And then slowly they
disappear. In places called Kikwit, in the bush. And all of a sudden you see it being reported and you ask yourself, how did the camera get to Kikwit?
What was that guy doing there?
A story for another day.
Correct. Last thoughts, Ken. We've got some last thoughts. Okay, how much time do we have? Okay, look into that camera there, man. You know, they've been watching you all night, listening to you all night, and the tweets, man, they're loving you, and most of them are saying, this is exactly what we need. You are the answer, Ken. I mean, you are the answer.
You know, Jeff,
talk to them.
As I'm talking to Kenya, I want every Kenyan to understand that despite your circumstances, you're a seed of greatness. And that what you become, what you do, what you believe, all those are a function of who you are. And that you must go within so that you can come out without as a great person. And that you must not let anybody push you down. And that it doesn't matter what community you come from. It doesn't matter what area of this country you come from. What matters is whether you choose to be a Muungwana as opposed to a Mushenzi. And as opposed to staying here in the middle, whether you are neither hot nor cold, because many of us are here in the middle. We must push ourselves here. But I also want to say this, that it doesn't come easy. It was never meant to come easy. Just like iron ore must be put in fire, the struggle is what makes you strong. And you must keep going. And if you fall, get up again. If you fall, get up again. If you must get up 14 times, keep getting up. But one day you'll make it. And when you make it, you'll be a great person. And when we do it on a large scale, we'll be a great Uungwana nation. In fact, there's something I want to start prosecuting, so to speak.
Go on.
A program I'm calling Uungwana 2030.
Uungwana 2030.
Uungwana 2030. So that we don't have a Mushenzi in 2030. 2030 is when we are meant to have this country that is working in all senses of the word, right? Economically now we are saying the figures are there. But we do know that there's a lot of inequality. We do know there's a lot of unemployment. And so that Uungwana is the one who will take us to that 2030. In the totality, then we'll have a great Uungwana nation.
Indeed. Preach, brother, preach. How old are you going to be in 2030 again? Since you're 48 today? You're 48, right?
At how many years? 16?
15.
Yeah, 15 years.
Do the math.
So I'll be 63.
I'll be 64.
I'll be a young man.
I'll be very young.
Yeah. But we want to see a great nation.
Happy birthday.
And a land of opportunity, by
No
the way.
doubt.
For everybody.
For
Doesn't matter.
everybody.
It doesn't matter where you come
Regardless.
from. Regardless.
Be that third stonecutter.
Namna hiyo.
The true mason.
The true mason.
Wow.
Uungwana.
No doubt.
Asante.
As opposed to
ushenzi.
ushenzi.
Or staying here.
Yeah. Kati kati.
Apo.
I love it, man. Ken, thanks so much, man.
Thank you, Jeff.
God bless you.
And happy birthday.
Happy birthday to
Keep
you.
going. May you be 100.
And you too. And two, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you be 103.
That's something.
You gotta love this man, Ken Jiru, folks. The Uungwana man calling it like he sees it. And like he says, if you slip, fall down, get up again, keep going. Speaking of which, I'm looking for this man. If you have seen him in the streets lately, Maurice Odumbe. Remember him?
Yeah.
Former cricket great.
Yeah.
He was a real hero.
Yeah.
Hero to zero. Now he's in the streets, begging. Nowhere to go, nowhere to sleep, nothing to eat. You see, Maurice, I want to talk to him. We have a place for him. We don't forget our heroes at the end of the day. And we did learn from his mistakes.
From mistakes. I hope so.
Life is about second chances.
Second chances, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, right. And one more thing, Jeff, I would like to say, especially to my generation,
Yes.
that we must go down in history, not as a generation that only knew what needed to be done, but one which had the courage, the commitment, and the focus to see it done, and saw it done. Because we know what needs to be done.
We do know.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Robert Barali, are you listening? Go find Maurice for me. I liked your blog the other day about him and his sufferings and all that. I think that's an Inspiration Thursday kind of story. Let's talk about that moving forward. That's what JKL is all about, giving you hope. Giving hope to the hopeless and inspiring those of you who just have no hope, no future, no outlook, you just don't feel it. Start feeling it. It's 2015. The year is underway. A week is gone. 360 and change days to go. 51 weeks to go. Let's do it, like Ken says. Become a Uungwana. Do not be a ushenzi. And do not be this iffy type. Let's do this, like the man says. Keep tweeting at Koinange Jeff, at Uungwana Kenya. Hashtag is JKL. Thanks so much for watching. Good luck. Good night. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Asante.
Asante.
And keep